What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. So I haven't uploaded in a while and I apologize. I've been on vacation and doing a couple other things. However, in the meantime, as you guys know, if you've seen this video, you obviously know that the video before actually ran into some trouble in our last overland trip. Had an issue with the CV axle. The boot ended up turning loose on me. And also I've got a leak somewhere with the trans oil cooler line or radiator. So that's what we're going to do here today. We are going to look at this and find out what the heck happened. I kind of hate that I have to do this, but it's just one of those things. You know, I have other plans, as you all know, sitting right here. And I have plenty of videos on this build. If you guys want to follow that, be sure and subscribe to the channel. I have tons of content with the S10 and the gray truck as well, or the muscle truck as you guys know. But today, yeah, we're going to be working on the Z. So anyways, let's get this thing in the air and let's find out what's going on. Alright guys, got the truck in the air, so we're going to take this wheel off and see how bad it is. Lining's kind of poor here, but it's pretty brutal back there. We'll have to get it in the air and really see how bad it is, but you can already tell there is a significant leak just based on the huge amounts of transmission fluid that has saturated this skid plate. And also the CV boot is destroyed and looks like trans fluid is everywhere, so it's probably a good thing that I stopped driving it. Although we did make about a 4-hour trip out of this and it did really well the entire time. Now this truck's pretty mint underneath, just to be honest. I mean, exhaust is completely just mud kind of coated. But the frame and everything is like perfect. This thing is in really good shape underneath. Of course, the air compressor would be off. And it is leaked everywhere, of course. So there's trans fluid on absolutely everything. That means only one other thing. We have to pull the shroud and we have to get to this radiator. We got to see if that's the issue or is it one of these other lines. It's kind of hard to tell from here, so we're going to have to let the truck down. But obviously we can tell we've got a pretty bad leak. I mean, you couldn't really... The skid plate just didn't really do justice for how bad it was. Alright guys, so I wanted to take a break and let you all know. Ended up coming across a coolant leak instead of a trans cooler leak. It was kind of hard to tell because, you know, the diff fluid in this is sort of a, well, not the diff fluid, the trans fluid is sort of a reddish color, and of course Dex Cool resembles trans fluid. Of course trans fluid's a little stickier, but for some reason this stuff just looked kind of gummy. I thought it was going to be a trans oil cooler, and I got to digging into this more, and it looks as if it's just a coolant leak. However, as far as draining the radiator, there is not really a good way to do it. The drain cock is in a really odd spot right there, and it's really awful because anytime you pull the plug on this, it just runs down the frame and makes a huge mess. I was using some funnels to get the bulk of this stuff out, and what I did was I kind of stacked some funnels up. Of course, we got this guy and the little guy here has stacked those up and kind of channeled it down when it was rushing out. And now it's slowed down. Of course, at this pace, it's going to take like 2 years for this to fully drain. But, you know, just wanted to share that if you have a leak and it is on the left side, check your radiator. It is not always the trans cooler lines. So that's the moral of the story here is inspect everything before making assumptions. Alright guys, so got everything drained out of the radiator, got everything unhooked. As you can see there, got a few more things I've got unhooked. Is a, looks like a return for an transmission oil cooler line, and I also have another line on this side that I need to unhook. You can see I unhooked the top one, and then we got to get our lower radiator hose off, and once we get that off, we will be ready to pull this radiator. Alright guys, so we made some more progress. I've only worked on this thing for like an hour each night. I've had so much going on. So anyway, found where the CV was busted, and it's definitely toasted. I don't know if you guys can see that crack right there. That's what caused it. So instead of buying a radiator, I'm actually going to check and see what failed on this and see if this fitting is bad or if I have a crack somewhere. I'm really hoping that it's actually the radiator. And the reason that I'm going to pressure test this is because elsewise, if it's not this, then I'm hoping it was just a lower radiator hose. Alright guys, so we got the radiator and everything hooked back up. All of our lines are hooked back up. And I'm replacing the air filter as well. While I've got this out, I got a K&N to go back in it. But everything has been replaced. All the lines have been cleaned. We've got new hoses on it. And we checked all of our fittings out and everything looked pretty good there. So now we've moved on to the CV axle, which the other one, the boot was ripped. And now we're in the middle of replacing this. So a tip to you guys that own ZR2s, get lifetime warranty axles from Advance or O'Reilly's or whoever, and hang on to your receipt because you're probably going to go through a few of them if you use your truck off-road. So this is round number 2 of putting a CV axle in this truck on this passenger side. CV's back in, so now it's just a matter of putting everything back together. Of course, the last CV, I done took it back to Advance, but there was like a hairline crack in it, so that's where all this fluid that you guys can see back up in here, that's where all that was coming from. So another thing, if you do a rough country lift and you're trying to take the spindle off, do it while it's at full droop and it actually has pressure against that. Elsewise, the nut that's inside, it's pressed into that ball joint, it spins. So if you keep pressure on it like he's doing, you won't have to have the Torx up inside the nut. You won't have to have a Torx up inside the bolt to hold it as it spins, so it works a lot better. Alright, got the CV back on, everything's back together, everything looks pretty good. So we're ready to put the brake caliper back on this guy and pour some coolant in it, get the skid plates on it. So it's just a few little things here and there, but we're pretty close now. Alright guys, we got everything buttoned up, everything is finished finally. Got that new CV axle in, and we also went ahead and took care of our radiator issue. And so far everything looks really good under here. You know, no leaks. Hopefully it'll stay that way. If you guys have stuck with us this long, thank you for watching. I hope maybe this provided a little info on just a couple tips and tricks on how to get these CV axles out. And you know, if you're working with one of these trucks that has a rough country lift, like I said earlier, be sure and buy a lifetime warranty axle. They have done a lot of improvements to this lift, and I will say that it's much better than the old design. But if you guys are going to wheel these trucks, it's just they're prone to do it. I think you're going to have this problem with almost any four-wheel drive. If you wheel it hard and you have CV axles, you're going to run into these problems. So now I'm running GSP axles on both sides, so I really want to see how the Advance brand axles hold up, and I will try to give you guys an update, and you know, we'll see how long they last. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more life out of them. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't done it already, be sure and subscribe. Go check out my latest video where we took this thing on our second overland trip, actually, to Middle Tennessee. Check that vlog out, it was really good. put some time and effort into making that one for you guys. I've got plenty more coming though, so stay tuned. Until next time, I'm out.